Okay, so let's start. So hi everyone, my name is Junzhe, and today I'm going to introduce you about the soybean and its food system. So let's begin. First of all, let's introduce about the journey of the soybean. Okay, the journey of the soybean starts as the soybean producer plant and harvest soybean, and it concludes when end users have soybean-derived products available to use for food, industry, and feed applications. Exhibit outline principal stakeholders involved in soybean value chain. After the production stage, the firm transports soybean using trucks, rail cars, and barges. Elevators and grain warehouse aggregate and store soybeans until buyers demand them. Then, the transportation firms move the soybean from storage location to the processors, which crush and process the soybeans into product needed for food, industry, and feed use. A soybean's journey is complete when end users purchase and consume them. Next page. Okay, here we can see that most of the soybean field in the United States are located here in the Mid-East, and it is the most intensive soybean field in the United States, producing over 4.258 billion bushels in 2020. Next page. Here we can see the US soybean industrial overview by state. Here, this is the top productions, which in harvest acres, yield, and productions in United States in rank. And we can see most of them like big states producing soybeans, Iowa. Here, Iowa is the largest soybean productions no matter in harvest, yield, or in production bushel. We also have Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, and like the states here we showed before. And here I'll take Missouri as an example. The soybean flow chart in Missouri. So this following flow chart qualifies the Missouri soybeans supply and utilizations. So the visual describes that the Missouri produced 5.6 million acres of soybeans. Of the Missouri produced soybeans, in-state processors crush 71% of the total productions, and the value chain stakeholders export the other 29%. From the soybean crushed at Missouri facilities, the processors produce meals, oils, and hulls. The soybeans meals and hulls predominantly have application in livestock feed ration, and the soybean oil have food and industrial applications. And the other product output from Missouri crushing facilities totals 3.3 million tons of soybean meals and 0.8 million tons of soybean oils and 0.2 million tons of other like soybean hulls. This is another chart, which is the soybean value chain, which indicate more detailedly about how the soybean transfer from land to the customers. Here we can see from the downside is the input, the production, the storage, the processing, product distribution, retails, and here in the last we have the customers. Interestingly, the processing and producing factories end only at this line. So, and here we can see the retail, grocery, and the hotel, restaurant, and other for eatings. These two are only like take a very little percentage in the whole processing process, since the soybean is not a food that directly feed people for most part in the United States. Yeah, and Since the days are changing, the technologies are introducing to the supply chain, and the traceable supply chains are parts of the infrastructure necessary for both rewarding quality and expanding the value chain opportunity. The traceable supply chain involves in coordinate growers, processors, and end users. Most traceable supply chains capitalize on meet end users' demand without necessary negotiating any others the soybean uses. So this can greatly increase the efficiencies in the soybean supply chain. So the soybean supply chain were attempt to introduced in this production decades ago with the products such as the high oil corn and corn with high available phosphorus. So, but neither succeed. However, wheat has several differentiated varieties, and they successfully use identity preservation. Care needs to exercise in developed supply chain to meet the need of end users and encourage them to pay a premium. So when putting into the soybean value chain, so the nutrient enhanced soybean represent another factor's motivations, the need for the needs for specific products like includes high oleic soybeans, omega-3 soybeans, like low phytate phosphorus soybeans, or any other new type of soybeans. Here we have a great example, like in December 2014, so the Purdue Agribusiness announced that it has been built a new storage tank specifically to grow its capacity as a high oleic soybean processor. By creating more storage space dedicated to high oleic soybean oil, the company anticipated that it will improve in its ability to efficiently supply the trade enhanced oil. So there's also other supply chain opportunities, like it exists for sustainable raised, non-GMO, organic, and other end products produced in the given manner. With the soybean sector's food companies may integrate the supply chain by identifying a variety well suits for given applications, the new products that could be produced. People can not only like eat, not only directly, they can eat the soybean directly product. Like here we have soy milk, the tofu, nattos. I don't know anyone like it. I like it very much. A Japanese kind of Japanese food, but it's made by soybean, but it's sticky. Many people don't like it, but I like it very much. Sorry. So after basically introduce the value chain and the supply chain food system for the soybean, I want to talk about the challenge of the soybeans. So the soybean challenge basically include two parts. So the environmental challenge and the social challenge. So environmental challenge include a great lot of things like the land consumption, greenhouse gases. The soybean cultivation has been rapidly expanded in the past few decades, and you all know. Approximately 90% of the global soybean production is in Brazil and Argentina. It's not in the USA. So the cultivation of the soybean leads to the loss of the natural resources. This includes soil erosion and expansion of agriculture chemical on biodiversity and environments. So for the soy production, the environmental effect has been investigated by considerable numbers of studies, such as studies about land planting and greenhouse emissions, water consumptions, and land use conflict. And to produce the same amount of product, soybean requires large numbers of land than rapeseed. So let's take Amazon as an example. So in Amazon, for instance, the deforestation is caused by large scales of soy cultivations. The industrial scales of the soybean production in South Africa has led to a large areas of also in deforestation and the greenhouse gas emission from long distance transport route. So after talking about the environmental challenge, let us basically talking about the things I consider the most important part, which is the social challenge. It's much more complicated than the environmental part because it's not only about destruction or hunger, it's more about things like politics, immigrants, people, and the governmental policy things. So compared to the economic and environmental aspect of the sustainability, the social impacts was relatively received less attention than others. So in Brazil, the soybean cultivation occupied 30 million hectares of land. So in 2006, approximately 3/4 of the private-owned land was occupied by 0.8 million medium and large-scale farmers. Yet approximately 75% of the Brazil farmhouse owners make less than minimum wage. And while family farmers face the most severe financial difficulties. As the crop with relatively little direct consumption, so increased soy production raises the important question about the food poverty and food security. So researchers found that due to the increase in soy production, approximately 90% of the food insufficient family in Brazil run out of food before their income was received, which lead to the purchase of cheap food for children. Similarly, the new position create the soy sector often goes to immigrants rather than locals, as this positions requires particular skills for the farmers. These issues, especially rural area, not only lead to the poverty, but also cause the social conflict between local people and immigrants. So, and the environmental challenge were linked with social challenge. So, everything found in 2012 found out that the excessive water usage in soy cultivation leaves the soil with reduced capacity to absorb water and lead to the flooding in some areas, which may influence the residents' lives. Furthermore, the usage of the pesticide in soybean production can ultimately lead to other issues like the food safety and rural conflict, such as that may harm the natural environment as well as the farmers' lives. We have pointed out so many issues, but how can we do something for it? I know many people will say we need to raise the money for the foundations. We need to give them support. But I think giving money isn't the first thing we should do. Most of the productions of the soybeans are still controlled in the large capitals. And for them, we don't expect them to do these things because capitals always want to make more money. What we need is the regulatory measures and more strict policy and laws to force them to do the things right. For the first solution, the regulatory measures have two parts for them. The first part is the demand side, and the other part is the production side. So for the demand side and also for the production side, the first thing is always to ensure the inclusion of the strong soy-related targets in trade agreements. We need the people who really knows about the land, knows about water environments, and knows about the growth of the soybeans to take part in these trade agreements to really make sure that both of the countries and peoples are benefit in this agreement. And for the demand side, they also need to adopt the mandatory due to the diligence requirement. They also need to formulate standard for companies reporting in soy impact in order for the countries and the world to know the truth. They also need to review the commodity classification under the new sustainable consider laws and policies. We need to make this in like a more strict ways. And for the production side, we also need to strengthen the national authority in changing of the management's the forest evaluation system, which is system that manage and measure the deforestation in the land and country. And also we need to strengthen the communication with other producers and local farmers in the rural extension to solve the local and immigrants conflict and give them a good life. And here's my reference. That's all part of my presentations. Thank you very much.